We're told love should empower us. So why do you keep feeling powerless around the person who claims to love you the most? If you constantly feel drained, confused, or smaller every time you interact, it could be subtle emotional abuse. So in this video, I'm going to show you the 5 subtle yet powerful signs to recognize emotional abuse early, giving you an easy, safe way to clearly understand what's really going on. I'm going to reveal what signs you might be ignoring, why you might be justifying some of this behavior, and begin to shed light on what love is supposed to feel like, giving you the confidence to better judge the love relationship you're in right now. You're feeling confused, on edge, or like something's off, but you can't quite put your finger on it. That's the problem. Emotional abuse is subtle and it's often missed. It doesn't show up as yelling or slamming doors. It shows up as eye rolls, sarcasm, or constant second guessing. I'll help you spot the early signs before they bury your own self-worth. Because when you know what you're looking for, you stop explaining it away or giving it excuses. I'm working with a woman and her partner always makes passive aggressive comments and tells her she's too sensitive. At first, she shrugged him off, but over time, she began to feel smaller and more unsure about herself. And that's how it works sometimes. It's a slow fade, not a sudden storm. So here's how you can start changing things. Pay close attention to the moments that leave you feeling uneasy, or second guessing yourself, or emotionally drained. Maybe write them down without filtering or explaining them away. And here's how you can start turning things around. Notice each moment when you hesitate to speak or you minimize your feelings. You may want to write those moments down. No judgment, no second guessing. Just capture the truth of what you're feeling. And simply acknowledging these moments helps you rebuild trust in yourself, one honest observation at a time. And over time, you'll start to see a pattern. And that pattern is your proof. It shifts the doubt out of your head and onto the page, where you can finally trust what you're feeling. And that's how change begins. Let's get into one of the trickiest mind games out there. When control shows up wearing a hoodie that says, "I'm just being caring." Because when you spot that nonsense, you can finally stop feeling guilty for wanting basic freedom. Like, I don't know, choosing your own dinner. You're in a relationship where decisions keep being made for your own good. Yet somehow you find yourself feeling smaller, less free, and increasingly confused. That's exactly how emotional control works. It disguises itself as care. Let's pull back the curtain on this behavior so you can clearly recognize when support crosses the line into manipulation. Because once you see it clearly, you can stop internalizing it and start reclaiming your freedom. I was working with a woman who believed her partner was just being protective. When he questioned her choices, dictated what she would wear, or discouraged her from taking a pottery class even. He always insisted it was because he cared so deeply. But over time, she realized the truth. She really wasn't being supported. She was being controlled. Her world wasn't expanding, it was shrinking. Here's a simple but powerful mindset shift you can start using. The next time someone claims they're doing something for your own good, pause and ask yourself this one question. Does this make me feel more free or more limited? You see, real care expands your possibilities and encourages your independence. If it leaves you feeling smaller or restricted, that's not care, it's control. And recognizing this difference, well, it's the first step toward reclaiming your voice and your life. Now, let's look at how something as simple as maybe journaling can blow the lid off what's really going on. Because when you start tracking the little moments, you stop gaslighting yourself and start seeing the truth in black and white and on the page. One of my clients, she began journaling. Every time she felt dismissed, controlled, or uneasy. At first, it seemed random, really even insignificant. But gradually, those scattered notes, they revealed a pattern. She saw clearly that this wasn't just miscommunication. It may be emotional abuse. Her journal became undeniable proof, written in her own words over weeks and months. Here's how you can start right now. Get a notebook that's just for you. And anytime something feels off, uncomfortable, confusing, write it down. No editing, no justifying, just your raw, honest feelings. Over time, you'll see a pattern emerge. And once you see it, well, you can't unsee it. And that clarity is your first powerful step toward reclaiming your voice and your truth. And here's where things start to shift. Guilt and isolation are how this kind of abuse powers up. But the second you see the pattern, you can start taking your life back, one step at a time. You need to clearly recognize this cycle so you can stop internalizing blame and start reconnecting with yourself and start reconnecting with the people who truly support and love you. A woman I'm working with, well, her partner regularly made her feel selfish whenever she wanted time for herself or pursued her own interests. He'd say things like, "No one else would put up with you," or "You're just being dramatic." Well, over time, she began to believe him. She withdrew from friends, abandoned hobbies she loved, and she eventually felt completely alone. And the smaller her world became, the harder it was to see clearly, and the harder it became to leave him. Here's how you can start turning this around right now. This week, take one small step toward reconnection. Reach out to a friend you've lost touch with. Spend even a few minutes on an activity you love. Guilt may show up, that's normal, but taking action in spite of guilt is exactly how you begin reclaiming your life, your voice, and your freedom. And now that you see how guilt and isolation can mess with your head, it's time to tackle the lies you've been told. Because clarity doesn't come from overthinking every red flag. It comes from getting quiet enough to finally hear your truth underneath all the noise. If everything we've talked about has left you feeling confused or like you've lost yourself, I want you to hear this. You're not lost. You're just buried under everyone else's noise. The expectations, the criticism, the so-called care. It's all clutter. And you don't find clarity by thinking harder or rehashing the past. You find it by getting quiet enough, letting your mind settle to hear your own truth again. Now that you're ready to clear the mental fog and connect with who you actually are, maybe this video will help overcome the lies you've been told. You are not broken. You don't need fixing. You are love.